Go.
All right, let's get it. So welcome everyone to another episode of We Got Next. I am one of the co-hosts, Christian Hayes. You all probably know me as AO Shifty. And we have my boy, Steven Springer here, Steven_Springs, if you end up following him on social media. And we have another great conversation coming to you all today. It's one that I think that a lot of you all will be interested in. I know a lot of people in my circle are definitely interested in this one. We have a key contributor for Tokel, Nutella here. And when we get to that part, it's something you'll definitely want to listen to, and we'll give him a formal introduction as well. But we want to let everyone know as we start this off that we are doing $100 in Bitcoin giveaway once we hit 100 likes and 100 subscribers. As many of you all know, Steve and I both have more than 100 followers on social media, but we wanted to end up bringing it to you all on YouTube and help grow this channel because some of you all don't necessarily like to read different tweets or read mediums. So we wanted to bring it to you all in another medium. And then the other one is whoever can come up with the best name for our crypto segment will end up being able to win $25 in Bitcoin. So we have two big giveaways that are happening there. And without further ado, let's go into the sports aspect. So Steven, you already know the first one I'm gonna talk about with the signings. My boy Josh Allen got paid over the weekend, got paid. So they had to lock him up. We know who's the next one going to be. You know, Lamar Jackson's coming soon.
Yep.
That's another dumb contract when that happens because so much he's done for Baltimore and the city. If they lost him, that would just be something. So I don't think that's going to happen.
No, absolutely not. There's no way. I'm actually surprised that he didn't get his done before Josh Allen did. I think just, that's just how some teams operate. I think we all know it's coming, so it's just a matter of time. But shout out to Josh Allen for getting that bag.
And shout out Darius Leonard, Mr. Highest paid linebacker, got the bag, and the Colts too. I mean,
well deserved
quarterback, so they got money to spend out there.
Yeah, your boy C. Wentz.
I know.
Oh, so good news though. Him and Quentin Nelson are both on the same. They both have the same injury, so they both had surgery. I think either like the same day or around the same time, a couple days apart. They're both on it was a 5 to 12 week recovery process or timeline of when they would return. And I think I saw that they're both on the 5-week end of things. So they'll be back right as the season starts. So that's good news for the Colts. Obviously, we have to wait and see how things progress, but that's good news for the Colts.
We need that first round pick. That's all I care.
Yeah, right. Carson Wentz has to play 70 or 75% of the games.
Yeah. And it's not off to a great start. So we need to start playing.
Yeah.
So the next thing I want to talk to you about, and we talked about this earlier, but Barbuilt, which is a protein bar company, they are going to be making sure that all 36 players on the BYU football team that are walk-ons get that scholarship. And that's something that I think is huge. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's awesome. I always love seeing those videos of the players getting scholarships, and it's like a team meeting, whatever, and they, FaceTime mom and dad and do all that thing. So, it's really cool to see, especially now with the NIL, taking shape more and more. I think it's maybe that starts to become a thing. Maybe, especially if it's a bigger local company for schools and everything. I think, I never really thought about that as a possibility or a path that this could go down with NIL, but this might raise, it's going to be one of those things where maybe some schools are like, hey, they did this for BYU. Can you help out, some of our team, and maybe not do 36 walk-on players, but I think it might start to become a little bit of a thing, which, would be nice for some schools probably. So that's good. Yeah. Good for them though. Always good to see.
And the only thing, the information that they release is they'll just have to have the logo of Barbuilt on their helmets. And then of course, some of the players will end up having to go to certain events that the brand has. I'm pretty sure it's not just the walk-ons they're going to expect at these events. They're going to expect
we gave the walk-ons all the scholarships, but let's have the starting quarterback and the running back.
That's who we really want.
Yeah. You walk-ons, you guys stay back. You guys got your scholarship. You guys stay back.
Exactly. So other thing we want to end up talking about is Hall of Fame for next year. We want to congratulate all the 2021 inductees into Hall of Fame, but Steven, let's talk about who you think that are going to potentially be inducted for 2022 will be first ballot Hall of Famers.
So the list of now eligible players it's a good list. From our generation, it's a good list.
The first one.
Yeah. I'm gonna run down the names and you tell me. I already have one picked out who I think is a lock, and I have another one who I think will get in first ballot. You tell me who you think who I'm picking. So Tony Romo, Steve Smith, Andre Johnson, Anquan Bolden, Robert Mathis, DeMarcus Ware, Vince Wilfork, Chad Greenway, Mario Williams. Who do you think I'm picking for first ballot?
So the first guarantee, I will say, is Steve Smith.
Okay, you think?
So we all know it. I know it's not Tony Romo. I hope it's not.
No, not Tony Romo.
Okay.
So no, it's not. No, it's not Romo.
But I would say
really?
DeMarcus Ware.
Smith?
So Steve Smith, he didn't win rings like that, yeah, but he put up a lot of numbers and helped with the Panthers. I will say DeMarcus Ware has to almost be up there.
Yeah, that's my lock. I went back and forth. I picked Andre Johnson over Steve Smith. I think Calvin Johnson kind of set an unfair, like he set the bar pretty high now for wide receivers getting in.
Yeah.
But he played 9 seasons, but he was the best receiver in the league for 5 of those seasons?
Yeah.
Or if not top 2 or 3 the other seasons. Steve Smith, Andre Johnson, Anquan Bolden. I don't think any of those guys were close to being the best receiver in the league. If I had to pick one though, who was, I would say Andre Johnson.
Yes.
He has him and Steve Smith have 2 All-Pros. Anquan Bolden or Andre Johnson has 7 Pro Bowls. Steve Smith has 5. Steve Smith is 8th all time in receiving yards. Andre Johnson is 11th all time. He had dog shit quarterbacks. He was on bad teams. The Panthers were good, right? And then he went to Baltimore, and Steve Smith did his thing in Baltimore. But if I had to pick one that was closer to being the best receiver in the league, I would probably say Andre Johnson. I feel like he definitely flew under the radar because he played in Houston and had terrible quarterbacks. So I'm going to go with Andre Johnson if I got a first ballot vote.
So there's not a lot of things that get me mad inside and annoyed. And one of the big things are the Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans for what the hell they can do to wide receivers and running backs. Because DeAndre Hopkins was like, I got to get out of here because this shit is not about to go the right way. And Andre Johnson just didn't get that same opportunity. He was there the whole time over there fighting Cortland Finnegan and stuff. And I really think some of the reasons for their frustrations were because what the hell they did. We could talk about Deshaun Watson and how he feels right now. But the big thing is what Megatron had to deal with there, Barry Sanders had to deal with, and then you got what Andre Johnson had to deal with. I really think that if Andre Johnson was on a different team or Megatron on a different team, we would still be hearing about them for more years to come. Vince Wilfork, he'll get in, but I don't know if I remember him more for his on the play or just the outfits he would wear.
Yeah.
On Hard Knocks.
I think if he does get in, it's going to be a while. Yeah. I think he'll. I didn't even remember who
Chad Greenway was.
Shout out to the Minnesota Vikings, 2-time Pro Bowler. I believe he went to Iowa. Could be wrong though. Wilfork, I don't know. I think he'll get in just because he was a staple on the defense for 2 championship teams. It's not like he was just like a random player on those teams. He's literally a big name on both those teams. So I think he'll get in. I mean, he never had any crazy stats. He's got one All-Pro. That doesn't seem right. He never had crazy stats, never had big stack numbers, but he was just there. Yeah. But he just was very consistent and very much a part of those teams. Robert Mathis is another one. I think he gets in, but not first ballot.
Okay. Yeah.
No. I think he was definitely.
They might end up putting Tony Romo first ballot. And
no way.
Romo, if they do that.
Romo barely made the playoffs. He's 34th all time in passing yards. and he has 4 Pro Bowls.
The only reason why he's on this list, and it's not even his on the field play. Like, he wasn't that good. He was okay, but Dak Prescott said, "Get the hell out of here." And then he played for America's team. That's
he's also eligible this year. I think that's the only reason why his name's out there. He's not getting it anytime soon. No, I mean, I hope. And you go back to the receivers. Like I said with Calvin Johnson, Johnson was one of the best receivers ever. Not just like during his time, but ever. Mm-hmm. Guys like Chris Carter had to wait a while. Randy Moss got in first ballot, but Randy Moss is also one of the top 2 or 3, 4 greatest receivers of all time.
Yeah,
Andre Johnson, Steve Smith, and Anquan Bolden were not on that list. So I think if any of them get in first ballot, it would be Andre Johnson, because I think he was closer to being the best receiver in the league than Steve Smith and Anquan Bolden. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he gets in.
Yeah.
But DeMarcus Ware is for sure getting in first ballot.
Absolutely. No, he needs to. For sure. He's one of those that every single time the Eagles played, I'd be like, God damn it. Like, you knew DeMarcus Ware was going to be somewhere on that field, getting some sort of sack or breaking up something in the backfield. So, and it's crazy because I was at work today and I was just thinking about the list. And I talked about it earlier when we had Real Fever on, but Charles Woodson was one of those we grew up on. Same with like Steve Smith, Andre Johnson, Megatron, and the other one, Anquan Bolden. And you remember Anquan Bolden, not necessarily from the Ravens, but when it was the duo in the Cardinals.
Yeah.
When it was Larry Fitzgerald and you had Anquan Bolden. And then Mario Williams, I think it's more so like just because he's eligible. I don't know if he's getting in for a minute too. Like, okay,
it's gonna be a while.
Yeah.
He had one all pro season. He had good numbers. I mean, he's 15th all time in sacks. Like, I know that's not great, but I don't know what the expectations were for him coming out of college, being the number 1 overall pick over Reggie Bush. Yeah. I don't know he was super dope in college, but I don't know what the expectations were coming out. But how about Charles Woodson's resume? It's pretty stacked. He Mr. Football. Heisman. Yeah, Mr. Football Ohio, coming out of high school, won the Heisman as a primary defensive player, won a national title in college, won a Super Bowl in college. I mean, in the pros, and won Defensive Player of the Year, and now is a Hall of Famer. So good for him.
Yeah. So we talked about,
and he's only DB real quick. He's only DB with 50 picks and 20 sacks.
Yeah.
So good for him too.
That's right there. Yep. So we talked about the Hall of Fame. Now let's go into some of the fantasy ones. We talked about the receivers last time. So it's a great segue how we were just talking about the receivers, and we're going to talk about the running backs. So give me your 15 to 8. Would you say, all right, if you have it, and some honorable mentions?
All right, so I did 10. I thought we were doing 10, so I wasn't listening to you last week. So
your honorable mentions are fine.
Yeah, but I'll give you my 5 honorable mentions. So I did pay attention somewhat. Yeah. My honorable mentions in no order: Melvin Gordon, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, and Chris Carson.
Wow, so our lists are going to be different.
Those are, I think all those guys are like Melvin Gordon kind of fell off a little bit.
He also got Javonte Williams out there too from UNC. I don't know how much he's going to play, but
it was a good pickup for them. Mm-hmm. I think they can definitely go with the 2-back system. Love Jonathan Taylor. They just need to have a good offensive line. They need to stay healthy. David Montgomery is going to help out whoever's playing quarterback for the Bears. And Chris Carson is going to be, Seattle is different.
Injured.
Yeah, Seattle. Like, I looked at Seattle's roster the other day, dude. They don't have much, and I think that I was watching NFL Network around training camp, and they've lost a lot of offensive linemen. I don't know how long any of the injuries are, but
they traded the center for Jimmy Graham.
Well, yeah.
I'll never forget that.
My guy, Jimmy Graham. One of these days, bro. One of these days, I'm going to be right about it. Their offensive line has been terrible for Russell Wilson. And I don't know who said it, but they said that they're wasting Russell Wilson's career.
They are. He's just getting money.
They are. They are, because they have no defense anymore. They were, I think, the worst defense in the league last year, and they have been over the last couple of years since the Legion of Boom has fallen apart. Yeah. Wearing those over like 4XL jerseys that no one else wears anymore with the long sleeves, the baggy long sleeves.
Yes.
So you want me to go 10 to 1 or 10 to 7?
10 to 7.
10 to 7. All right. I got Najee Harris at 10. I also think that by the end of next season, he'll be top 3.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Steelers fan, but if you just watch him in college, he had to wait his time, and he's like that. I think he's going to be very close to the top very quickly.
What's crazy that you brought up Najee Harris is I didn't even realize James Conner isn't there anymore until
where did he go? Where did he go?
He's in Arizona.
Good call. Yeah. I think, I don't know, Pittsburgh.
They have the right one, I will say.
The James Conner thing is different, but Miles Sanders at number 9. I think this is the year he finally gets going, finally breaks out. I think Philly's kind of been holding him back a little bit. Shout out to your Eagles.
Yeah. Shout out to the new coach.
But I think this is he's legit, bro. I mean, I know everyone says he was Saquon Barkley's backup, but I think everybody else would have been Saquon Barkley's backup too. Yeah. So I think now is his time to get out there and his time to shine. Number 8, surprise, Austin Eckler out with the Chargers.
I don't think I have.
Their offensive line last year was heinous, but Justin Herbert still had a great season. But in order for him to keep going, because teams are going to key in on their receivers, they need to have the offensive line working. They drafted the kid from Northwestern, Slater, in the first round. So I think, that's not going to shore things up, but it's a start, and they're getting there. Number 7, I said I wasn't going to have it on my list, but I have Zeke on my list.
Yeah.
I can't deny his talent. I can't deny, that he's good. He's kind of like taking a little bit of a step back lately. He's got a lot of off the field things going on. People said he was overweight or whatever. He looks like he's doing well. And I think to kind of get some of the pressure off of Dak and kind of really set up the pass game, they're going to rely on him. Obviously, I mean, he was the number 1 back in the league, for a season or two. So yeah, I think he'll have a bounce back season, but since they have so much talent at receiver, they're going to keep throwing the ball around. But that's my 10 through 7 and my honorable mentions.
That's so crazy. So I'll start with honorable mentions. Chris Carson is one of the honorable mentions. Only reason. So I'll give you guys a background story. Every single year, Steven usually chooses either Allen Robinson or Jimmy Graham. Every single year, I always choose Chris damn Carson. Every league, because I'm like, all right, you know what? He's about to have a good year. Nope, some shit always happens. Like, he gets injured. And the reason why he gets injured, if you ever watch Chris Carson play, the man just runs right into you. Like, he is going to continue to run right up the gaps and will get injured after a while. So it'll start to wear down. But Chris Carson's honorable mention. Trey Sermon is another honorable mention that I have up there. Yeah. So my last honorable mention is the tandem of Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, because I don't really know what they're going to do out there. I don't know if Drew Lock's going to get time. Teddy Bridgewater's going to get time. They might put Jerry Jeudy back there. Who the hell knows what's going to happen with that team? And so going into number 15, so I do have J.K. Dobbins. You'll start noticing a trend. J.K. Dobbins is up there for me. They don't have Mark Ingram to deal with him in the backfield as much anymore. So I think as though Lamar Jackson and Dobbins will have to end up doing a lot. And then they have Bateman out there for receivers. So I think it's going to be a youth movement for Baltimore. At 13, he saved me in a lot of leagues last year. Antonio Gibson for the football team. So he was one. And so the big thing I noticed with him is he only played 14 games and he had 795 rushing yards. So I was like, that's pretty damn impressive. And he didn't come on until later on in the season. So I want to know if people have a year to look over tape for him, if it'll be the same, because there was no tape to find out what the hell Gibson was going to be doing. Number 13, I have Najee Harris. And I believe personally, because watching him back in Bama and then now, and they don't have Connor, I really do think that he's going to be at least top 5. I would not be surprised if this year he finishes like top 5 in rushing. him and Derrick Henry have a lot of similarities. I will say that. So
he's gonna I think he's gonna get. I'm gonna disagree on the rushing. I think he's gonna be not like 50-50 receiving yards and rushing yards, but I think they're gonna split him out wide and they're gonna give him some catches because he's, everything I've read and everything I've heard, from training camp so far is that's their plan.
Yeah.
So as many weapons as they can to spread him out there, and he proved in college he can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yes.
And outside of Derrick Henry, if you're a running back in the National Football League, you need to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield because not everybody can just run through other 11 defenders like Derrick Henry. So I think he's going to get a lot of catches, but his rushing yards should be up there too.
Yeah. So at number 12, I have Zeke. He's one that's just continued to.
I respect that.
Follow up. Yeah. So I have him at number 12. Number 11, Josh Jacobs. I want to know what the Raiders are going to do out there. So that's a big reason why I had him at number 11. Number 10. So this is someone that I predicted when he came out that he would do well, but I didn't know how long it would take. David Montgomery. It took him a while. It took him a new system. And I think as though he will continue to move on the way up. So he had over 1,000 yards rushing last year, which was better for him. And I think it'll continue to help if he has a good quarterback, if the team can stay healthy. So then at number 9, Austin Eckler. Shout out to him. I love the combo of Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, and Keenan Allen. If those three can stay healthy, they can do well. Clearly, you can see they just got rid of Hunter Henry because they're going to focus on those three. So that's number 9. Number 8, I have Jonathan Taylor. Mm-hmm. And this is contingent upon, I would say, what the hell Carson Wentz does. Because if Carson Wentz is playing, they're going to try and sling it more. So Jonathan Taylor will be used more so as a receiver at times. But if he's injured, you'll see Jonathan Taylor end up being used more in the backfield as well. He did really well rushing last year, 1169. So he had a lot of rushing yards. But I don't think he's able to get up in that top upper echelon just yet. So that's the thoughts on that. Next week, we'll end up covering.
Wait, you didn't say number 7, did you?
Oh, I had honorable mentions all the way up to 8. So I'll finish up mine. So yeah, you'll do yours next time. And then so segueing that into fantasy, we'll end up finishing it next week. So stay tuned for that one. But I want to end up shouting out some things in cryptocurrency. So we want to start off by talking about Jack Mallers. So if you don't know Jack Mallers out there, he's done a hell of a lot for just the cryptocurrency space. As you all know, he helped with El Salvador and making it a legal tender for Bitcoin there, which was a big thing Jack Mallers did. If you watch any documentaries or videos, Jack Mallers spent a lot of time in El Salvador too, just to try and understand him. He announced it at the Bitcoin conference that happened in Miami. So I got to say shout out to him. He's been on like CNBC and different shows like that. If you don't have the Strike app, I'm not promoting, sponsoring any different app, but I think that the Strike app is something that will definitely help a lot of countries that are in need too. So I want to talk about that. The next one I want to talk about is crypto tax, startup company TaxBit. So congratulations to them. They just raised over $138 million in their fund. So that's another thing that a lot of these cryptocurrency companies are going to start end up raising more money. Another one you'll start to notice is Fidelity got on board, but there's been other companies that are starting to invest in the Bitcoin mining technology. So Marathon is a huge one that a lot of people are starting to invest in as well. So congratulations to Marathon with all the money they're starting to raise and bring in. And then I want to end up talking about FTX. So a lot of people know him as Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank and Money Court, but Kevin O'Leary is now going to be a spokesperson for FTX Exchange. You all might know that they currently are working with the Miami Heat. It'll now be called the FTX Arena. They're working with the MLB. They're sponsoring them there, so they'll have a patch on their jersey as well. So kudos to them. They also have Tom Brady a part of them. So they're doing a lot of big things, spending a lot of money. So Nutella, look, I want to get you in here when it comes to the sports aspect. And when you start to see a blend, what are your thoughts when you start to see cryptocurrency blend into the sports area? I know that you are a big fan in the F1. So what are your thoughts when you see different names in the cryptocurrency realm sponsoring or working with different athletes?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic overall. Basically, anybody getting involved in the cryptocurrency sphere is a good thing. But what what high profile athletes does for everyday people is make it more accessible. So it becomes more of a talking topic with normal people because they see others getting involved, and then it legitimizes the concept as a whole. I think is the biggest benefit.
So I'm just going to segue into one of my world famous questions. That's a good point. So my question is, so for someone like myself who isn't really big into crypto, I'm getting there, but still learning the basics, I guess. It came around 2009. It was primarily talking about Bitcoin. Everybody knows, most people know the word Bitcoin, but they don't know what it is, or they don't know really anything about it other than your buddy or your neighbor Frank has some stock in Bitcoin or whatever the case may be. And it just kind of up until recently became, like you said, a talking point. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that just recently, over the last maybe 4 years, it's become more mainstream? Is it because of social media? Is it because of just like the media platforms in general, the news stations? Like, is it now the athletes, my favorite athlete is getting into Bitcoin or getting into cryptocurrency? That means I should take a look at it. Do people care more? What do you think is your opinion on why now it's becoming more of a talking point for people, like normal people?
Yeah. I guess it's probably because more people are starting to understand the concept behind it. Like, as you said, it is actually quite difficult to wrap your head around what blockchain technology is and what that means, like what Bitcoin is, what Ethereum is, like all of the differences. And there are so many differences out there that it is a hard concept to grasp. So I think an understanding of the ecosystem as a whole, and people are starting to understand little bits and pieces and what it actually means, and what the keyword or the buzzwords of like decentralized and peer-to-peer actually means. And then I think also in like more recent times, people are starting to see and understand what central banks are doing when they're printing money and how that actually affects them. And then they potentially are creating that bridge as to, well, what does cryptocurrency give me that the US dollar doesn't give me, and really understanding what their money is, how it's managed, and how they can start to own that themselves. So I don't know, I think just that understanding element. I mean, there was always that the point that people hear about a lot of people making a shitload of money in the crypto space, so it gets them interested. That's a good narrative to get people interested, but my personal interest in it is more the understanding of the technology behind it. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
We get a different answer every single week, so I always kind of know that we're going to get a different answer every week, but it's always nice to actually get one. So I think also I've just kind of learned that a lot more people care about it now because it's becoming more and more mainstream, because everybody's friends are talking about it. To what degree they're talking about it, to what level they're talking about it at. Christian, him and I talk about this occasionally. We'll go into the crypto space. It's more so like him getting me up to date on and up to speed on things that are happening for conversations like this. So I can chime in when needed. But yeah, I think a lot more people are starting to care now, just because it's becoming more mainstream, because their friends and their neighbor Frank are talking about it. So I think it's just becoming more and more, I should learn about it because everyone's talking about it. So
yeah, for sure. And I think there's more trust is being, garnered because their friends and family are talking about it. So they go, oh, well, if this high profile athlete is talking about it and accepts, crypto as a form of wage or however they manage it, then, my next door neighbor's got some, then maybe I should, learn about it, because that trust is then inherently built.
Yeah. Something else I'll add is, I think the easiness that a lot of companies are starting to end up making with it. I'm not one that talks a lot about Robinhood, but they made it kind of easy for certain people to end up buying it there. Venmo and PayPal have done the same. And then of course, everyone knows like Coinbase and Gemini, and then also you have BlockFi. So there's various different companies that have made it a little bit easier. One thing, and then Tokel will also mention this later, just make sure that you are owning the cryptocurrency, because you'll start to notice on certain exchanges or places like Robinhood, you don't technically own it. You can't withdraw it and then send it anywhere. It's kind of held there. So you can only buy it there and then sell it there. So just always pay attention to that, because at the end of the day, it's more so you are buying it, but it's actually like Robinhood or certain companies that are buying a bulk of it, and then they're able to like sell it to you. So just always pay attention to that. But what I want to end up talking about today, and this is something that I've been really excited about, I have been told a lot of the team members that this is something personally I was curious about, but we have a key contributor for Tokel with us here today. We have Nutella Lickus. So thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about what you do for Tokel?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I call myself a key contributor. Basically, I've been a community contributor in the Komodo ecosystem for quite some time. A small group of community members got together and basically we found a gap in the current ecosystem offering, and we said, hey, the technology's there. Let's go and develop a project around that, and that is Tokel, which is a dedicated token platform. So basically, I've coordinate these super smart developers and individuals to help create this project as a whole. So that's what we're currently doing.
Yeah, thank you. So the question that we always have to ask everyone, and the question everyone likes to know about, is when did you first get involved in cryptocurrency, and what was your first cryptocurrency you bought?
Yeah, so I first learnt about it back in, I think it was 2011. I had a friend come up to me and was like, hey, I've got this thing called Bitcoins of, the classic, absolute classic story. Yeah. Way back then. So that's when I first learnt about it, and it definitely intrigued me, but I didn't put the time and effort into the understanding piece. And so it wasn't until about 2016 where I had another friend come to me and say, hey, like I've got Bitcoins again. I think it's a really cool idea. And then I just started asking questions and really started to learn about it. So wasn't until the end of 2016 where I actually bought in, and I bought some Bitcoin and then also some Komodo. So but throughout 2017, I spent hours and hours trying to figure out how this thing worked and how I was going to use it and what it actually offered. So
what intrigued you the most about it initially when your friend brought it to you?
I think it was more just having the control of my own funds and then taking that power away from somebody else. So I have the control in a sense that I can decide, which currency I want to buy and want to own and want to hold, and depending on my circumstance. But I also like the decentralized nature of it. So I can go up to anybody and say, hey, like I'll give you this for that, and you can do that without having a third party entity to go through. So I think that technology is like incredibly cool because it's all trustless. So how else would you go up to somebody and create a transaction between you without a level of trust? Even if you're in person, you have to trust that person is going to give you the keys to the car or whatever you're buying off them. So.
Mm-hmm. So before we keep going, I want to give a shout out because we were talking about Bitcoin. So shout out to the Bitcoin family. So for everyone out there that doesn't know, it was early 2017. The dad ended up putting, they said all of his money. If this is true, this is wild, but he put all of the funds of the family into Bitcoin when Bitcoin was at $900, and they just started traveling and doing things of that nature. So needless to say, he didn't buy just one Bitcoin probably. The kicker is they have their funds that they made off of Bitcoin and with Bitcoin in 4 different continents. So it's not in one place, it's in like 4 different locations. So shout out to the Bitcoin family, as they call themselves, because they end up putting laser eyes in the picture and they're basically traveling around the world. If I was them and I know he has more than 3 or 4 Bitcoin, I would just be traveling around the world too. So going into the next thing I want to talk about with you, what is Tokel for everyone out there?
Yeah, so Tokel is a platform. It's a dedicated token platform. So it's an independent blockchain, just like Bitcoin, just like Ethereum, just like Komodo. It has its underlying blocks. It has its own miners. It has its own transactions. But what we've done at the layer 1, which means like at the blockchain level, is we give people the ability to create tokens and what is otherwise called colored coins. So people can go on there, they can create tokens, and they can also buy and sell them all on chain. So we have an on-chain token DEX. It's basically a community-run project. As I said, there was a couple of us from the Komodo community that got together and really incubated the project, and we're trying to get more community members on board to help help develop and help push the platform along. And then the other part of it, so that there's the underlying blockchain. The other part of it is our all-in-one application, and basically we're creating this application that is going to showcase all the features that are on the blockchain itself. Differences, I guess we can talk about differences between other token platforms now or later. Up to you.
Yeah, so we can talk about that. So for everyone out there that don't understand token platforms, give some examples of what are notable token platforms and explain your differences between them.
Yeah, so when people hear the word token, they don't necessarily think of NFTs, but NFTs are a type of token. So you've got a bunch of NFT type platforms. People have heard of NFT marketplaces. So for your community, you've got NBA Top Shot. That's on the Flow blockchain. So that is a token platform. It's basically a blockchain that facilitates tokens being created. The underlying fundamental difference between tokens and coins is an interesting one to know. And basically, the coin just means it has its own blockchain, whereas the token means it uses another blockchain to facilitate those transactions. So you've also got Ethereum, which Ethereum is a blockchain. You can create tokens on it. You can create smart contracts. You've got Binance Smart Chain now that you can create tokens on. What else? I had a couple other, but they've skipped my mind now. But there's plenty out there with their each have their own pros and cons.
Yeah. So when was Tokel created, and how did you all come up with the concept of it? I know you touched on it a little bit, but can you just talk about it?
Yeah. So the Tokel like blockchain itself was actually launched on the 31st of July. So it was only 2 weeks ago. We finally got to the point of where we could launch the actual blockchain. We've been working on the project since mid to late last year, and basically it was myself and another person that got together and said, hey, like we found this gap in the ecosystem and these problems with these other platforms. We know enough about Komodo technology that we can use what they've already got that nobody else is currently using, and then go out and create a token platform within the Komodo ecosystem, which is within the wider crypto ecosystem.
So then that brings me to my next thing of, are you all built on top of Komodo, or do you have your own standalone blockchain?
So as mentioned previously, we have our own independent blockchain, and the way Komodo works is it has its own blockchain, but then it allows for people to use their technology to create their own blockchains. Okay. So anybody can come along, and it's actually quite easy if you have a little bit of blockchain knowledge, and create their own blockchain with their own tokenomics, with their own coins. So that's basically what we've done. We've taken existing Komodo technology and we've created our own independent blockchain. And we're actually working alongside the Komodo developers. They've helped us a lot, and we've extended Komodo technology and the token specific parts of that to improve on them for our specific use cases. But what that means is that anybody else that comes along can utilize the extended features that we offer within their own cryptocurrency or their own blockchain if they need to.
Cool. So thank you for that. So now, are you guys currently out, or are you about to have an IDO for your company?
So we don't actually have a company. It's a community run and community incubated project. So what we've done is we are going to have an IDO. The IDO will be at the end of this month, and it'll be solely on the Atomic Dex platform, and we can talk a bit more about that in detail in a second. But for the IDO itself, basically the intent is to try and distribute tokens to community members as much as we can, and it's also there to facilitate further development. So we're going to use it as a way to further increase platform adoption and increase platform development from within the community. But it's also, as I said, a way to get coins out there so people can start creating tokens, can start creating transactions on the blockchain.
So talk about, I know you mentioned it, but the Atomic Dex, what is it and how will this end up coming about?
Yeah, so Atomic Dex is a decentralized exchange that the Komodo team have built. And basically, you are in control of your own funds. So it's like a wallet. And then what you can do is then you can exchange with other people. So peer-to-peer, you can exchange funds via Atomic Swap protocol. Basically, what that means is there's no exchange in the middle that's facilitating your transactions. It's done all on the blockchain using atomic swap technology, and that means that I can sell or I can trade with you without having anybody else there, and we can both trust that trade mechanism just like straight from our wallets, which is pretty cool. So if you're interested to learn more about that, then I'd definitely do some research onto on their website, which is atomicdex.io. It's a pretty cool exchange, but also it's a multi-coin wallet, so you can go on there and they have heaps and heaps of different coins that you can input into your wallet, and it creates an address for you, and you have the private keys for that address, and then you can start trading immediately with whatever's in that address.
I got a question. This is a pretty broad question, but what made you want to do all of this? Like, what made you want to get into the crypto space like this deep and have the platform that you're creating and developing and continue to grow and everything? What, I know it's a very broad question. It's probably not a very simple answer, but what made you want to get into this like this deep of a level?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think my motivations.
I was a journalism major in college, so like I ask the hard hitting questions here. So like it's what I do. I appreciate you pumping me up a little bit though.
Yeah, no dramas. I don't know. I'm like super interested in the technology behind it and the fundamental use cases of it. So I personally steer away from a lot of the investing side of the house. So I don't research a lot into like what's the best to buy and all this sort of stuff. I really like the use cases, and it really interests me of like how can we use this to better society? Like how can this application increase adoption, or give people that otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to trade with each other in a decentralized fashion where they don't have to trust anyone. Like opening that up to everyone around the globe is just like this really cool concept that really gets me going. So that's like my internal motivators. That's basically it. Just trying to better the technology behind it.
I had no expectations for what your answer was going to be, but that was a great answer. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
So I want to dive into, because a lot of people probably are wondering about the airdrop that you all are going to have if you hold Komodo. Can you talk about the airdrop that's going to be going on? And then are there certain wallets, because I know some people are curious, are there certain wallets needed for you to hold the Komodo?
Yeah, so we I guess we didn't particularly touch on it, but we've got a pre-mine, and basically as I mentioned, we're going to be trying to distribute that to as many community members as we can, and part of that is to give back to the Komodo community, which is where we came from, where a lot of the technology was developed from. So people that support that technology development should be able to utilize the Tokel platform. So basically, if you hold Komodo in an address that you hold the private keys to, then you can access part of the Tokel airdrop. So we're airdropping 8 million Tokel onto Komodo holders. And as I mentioned, you need the private keys. So if in the eyes of the blockchain, if you don't hold the private keys, that like those funds aren't yours. So for example, if you hold it in any exchange, like any custodial exchange whatsoever, if you cannot get the private keys, like you aren't the owner of those funds in the eyes of the blockchain, which is why you need those private keys. So in terms of wallets, you can use any Komodo-based wallet, or any wallet that you hold the keys to. So whether it's Atomic Dex, or if it's a full node client, if you like to run that, you can use our Tokel wallet, which is a super light wallet, which is pretty cool. You can use again any wallet that Komodo has. You can hold your Komodo on that if you are able to access those private keys. What you'll then have to do when the Tokel are airdropped is go onto the Tokel blockchain. So through the Atomic Dex application, if you have a Tokel wallet, or through our all-in-one application, you can import your private key into the Tokel blockchain, and then you'll see your Tokel appear there. And the way that works is that the Tokel and Komodo addresses are exactly the same. So if you have an address that's RXYZ in Komodo and you hold 10 Komodo there, if you then import that same private key into the Tokel blockchain, your address will be XYZ, and then your airdrop Tokel will be within that address.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So everyone out there, if you're wondering where you can end up picking up Tokel where you can pick up Komodo, you can pick it up at Binance, KuCoin, Huobi, HitBTC. Komodo's on a lot of different exchanges. So if you're wondering where to pick it up, almost anywhere you can probably end up finding it. But the big ones are Binance, HitBTC, Huobi, and KuCoin. You can end up getting it over there. I want to talk a little bit about the TKL itself. So what is the use case for TKL? And can you talk a little bit about your tokenomics? Because we know a lot of people want to understand the tokenomics behind a project.
Yeah, definitely. So the TKL coin, the fundamental use case is to create tokens and then create transactions on the blockchain. So each Satoshi of TKL, you can create one token. And so if you wanted to create an NFT, all you would need is one Satoshi of the TKL coin. If you wanted to create a token with a supply of 100 million, for example, you need one Tokel. And basically what it does is it effectively burns it, removes it from the circulation, and then you have another coin, which is whatever coin, you have another token, which is whatever token you create on the blockchain. I'll go into the tokenomics of it. So the overall full supply, I guess, the fully mined supply will be about 200 million. It'll be just over, it'll be like 200.25 million coins total. And that'll be over a period of 25 to 50 years. I think it's post 50 years is where the supply actually eventually stops. But so over that time, there'll be 200 million TKL. For each block, there'll be a block reward starting at 42.5 TKL. So at the moment, what we've done, we've put in a 8-week period where the block reward will be 1 TKL, and that's until the IDO finishes. And then once that 8-week period is up, it goes up to 42.5 TKL every block, which is every 60 seconds. And then the reduction period, which is going to be every year after that initial spot, it'll reduce by 23%. So really hard to visualize what I'm saying here, but on our Bitcoin Talk forum post, we have a little a little graph that kind of gives you a pretty good idea of the output there. But the initial supply, as I kind of talked about, we have a pre-mine of 100 million, and we've allocated 60 million to the community in different allocations. And again, the idea of this was twofold. So, a lot of people get scared when they hear pre-mine, but the intent behind the pre-mine was twofold. One was we wanted enough coins out there so that people can go and create tokens. So the idea is to try and distribute these as widely as we possibly can, so people can start utilizing the blockchain, the features on the blockchain. And then 2 was so that we could actually afford to continue development, because development has a lot of expenses, and when we're a community-run project, it's quite difficult to actually garner funds in that sense. So we've got 60 million towards the community and 40 million towards the team.
Thank you for that. So a big thing that a lot of people, and Stephen, I'll be just mentioning this to you, a huge thing is everyone always wants to care about the tokenomics because they want to end up hearing what the price is, what the circular supply is, how big the supply is in itself, and how long it ends up taking to get to that the end supply, because that all just goes back into the market cap. And so that's something that a lot of people are always interested in. Half of them don't actually understand the economic side of it, but they just like to hear what the supply is. So I really do appreciate that, knowing what your full supply is and you being fully transparent about that part. The next thing I want to bring up is, what is the Tokel wallet that you all have?
Yeah. Sorry, just one more point on what you were saying there. Like, it is super important to understand the tokenomics behind a coin, and supply demand is like critical in understanding that. So I completely, back everything you've just said. If people can put like a little bit of effort into understanding it, they'll have a much better idea of the the overall, like you said, the price structure. Although that's not super important to me, but it should be important to people if they're going to spend their money to try and further projects along. But just understanding the supply, demand curve is really, really important.
Yes.
Sorry, the Tokel wallet. So the Tokel, we're actually working on an all-in-one application. It's not just a wallet.
Mhm.
And we say all-in-one because it's basically going to showcase all of the features that are on the blockchain. So as I kind of mentioned, we have the ability to store Tokel coins, which is the Tokel wallet. We're also going to have the ability to store every token that your wallet owns. You're going to have that there as well. You're also going to have the ability, we're going to create a page which is like a simple token creation page. Pardon me, a simple token creation page, which you're going to be able to go on there. You're going to be able to, create your own token on a single page, and then hit create, and then bang, it's going to populate in your token wallet, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
That basically makes it accessible to anybody. So anyone that wants to create an NFT can spend like 2 minutes, go, type in the name, type in the supplier description, put a URL in there for where the, whatever the asset is, what it represents, and then bang, create, and voila, it's in your token wallet. And then the other things that's going to have is an NFT marketplace and a token dex. So the NFT marketplace itself is a showcase of what is on chain. So on chain, you can create buy and sell orders, so you don't need an exchange. So anybody can look on the blockchain and use certain commands, and then it'll populate like, hey, this person has bid on this token for this amount of Tokel. So that might be your token, and you can go, oh yeah, actually I want to sell that for that amount of Tokel, and then bang, on chain you can conduct those transactions. So the NFT marketplace will facilitate that, and basically it'll just showcase what tokens are for sale on the blockchain, and then same with the token dex. The difference between the two being that the NFT marketplace will be solely for NFTs that have a supply of one, and then the token dex will be for tokens that have a supply greater than one.
Thank you. So now I want to break down everything you just said, and I want to start with the NFT part. So at the NFT marketplace, are you all going to have a bridge that allows people to end up using like selling their things on OpenSea or Rarible and different things, or is it going to be strictly the NFT marketplace for Tokel and everything will be just done on your site?
Yeah, so at the start, again, because we're like so new, we've got all this in development at the moment. The intent is to showcase that feature of an NFT marketplace. But the cool thing with the platform is that places, other NFT marketplaces can build on top of our fundamental like blockchain technology and create their own NFT marketplaces. So if people want to come along and create their own different ones, so say, OpenSea, for example, or Rarible, if they wanted to move from the Ethereum blockchain and go onto another blockchain, they could come onto the Tokel blockchain and build their NFT marketplace on top of our blockchain and our technology, and use an order book that's the same across all. Because if they use the on-chain order book, the buys and sells that are on chain, then anybody that creates a marketplace can use exactly the same buys and sells. They might just have a different GUI or a different way of going about it, or different features potentially. So at the start, we're just going to showcase that technology, and then eventually we'll start reaching out to different NFT marketplaces and approach them and say, hey, we've got this technology. How about you guys create a marketplace on top of ours? Potentially we'll create a bit of a white label marketplace where others can, take our application marketplace and, change it into their own and market it in their own way, it's all pretty cool.
Yeah. So thank you for that, because I was over here listening to everything you just said, and I think a lot of people need to realize what you're actually saying, because you're doing so many things. It's an all-in-one platform. There are so many cryptocurrency companies and platforms out there that might do one of the things you brought up, but for you all to have a wallet, to have the marketplace you're doing, then also the token creation, it's a lot of things. And the next thing I want to end up touching on is probably my selfish aspect. Now, can you explain the aspect of creating your own token on the platform, and like what are the fees? And I know you guys brought up the example of a teacher doing it for rewarding students and performance, but just walk us through everything with the token creation.
Yeah, so token creation at the moment is done via a full node, like a blockchain full node, and basically you're using the commands in the blockchain, so the API commands. And this is probably getting a little bit technical here, but you use like fairly simple API commands to then create your blockchain. So I've written a pretty good how-to guide on our documentation that steps you step by step through that process. So if you have a little bit of blockchain understanding and want to run your own blockchain and do that, you can definitely do that. In the future, as I said, we're going to provide that single page, like tick and flick, like, all right, my supply is one, so it's an NFT, my name is XYZ, so that anybody will be able to create it. In the actual, what happens on the blockchain level is basically, as I said before, like to create an NFT, you're going to have one Satoshi of the Tokel coin or the TKL coin. And it basically colors that coin and says, hey, this coin is now a token. This token is XYZ. It has this data associated with it, and anybody can look on the blockchain and go, yep, that token is XYZ and has that data associated with it. So the actual how-to, again, at the moment, you're going to have to use a bit of command line interface and use the API that the blockchain has and use those fundamental features to then go through those steps to output a token. Does that answer your question there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, because it's something that I look at for businesses, how they can end up getting involved with it and tokenizing their own business in a different way. So I really do appreciate that, because that's something I've been looking into for Shift Movement and like the We Got Next, for us to potentially end up tokenizing the business so we can end up doing it that way. So I really do appreciate that. The next thing I want to talk about is, what does the roadmap look like for you all moving towards the end of this year and then into next year? Of course, I know you guys have a lot you've done, but what is just a little glimpse into the future?
Yeah. So if people go on our website, they can see a short snippet of our roadmap, and basically we try to offer like what is our next release, what is our next thought that we're looking for, and we don't put a really long roadmap out there because we like to be super flexible, and our developers like to look at current conditions and say, hey, it's actually we're better off going down this tangent than that tangent. So we're trying to maintain flexibility in that aspect, so you won't see a really long roadmap. But for us, our aim is to release that all in one application. So we've got the blockchain technology there. We're going to continue to work on that as a side, but our focus is to try and create this application on top that showcases all of the underlying blockchain technologies. And we are going to try to have that done by around the end of the year. And what that means is that we're going to have the NFT Marketplace, the token creation tool, the token wallet, the token DEX, because at the moment the application is just a coin wallet, and we're slowly developing all of the other features of that. So by the end of the year, that'll be hopefully feature complete. And then from there, we'll try to really refine those features, and then what we're going to do is then start to reach out to other projects to try and build on top of our technology and help those and incubate those projects, so that everybody in the ecosystem can benefit from that.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's something I always like to understand. I know a lot of people want to hear a long roadmap years down the line, but I don't think it's realistic to do that, because then you have your community mad at you if you don't do one thing on it. Whereas I always like if it's shortened to the point of certain things that are able to be accomplished. So I do want to congratulate you all, for starters, for all that you've done so far and the production that you have in for the future. So that is something I do like. Something I want to just talk about, because a lot of people just might see you as a key contributor for for Tokel, but I want to end up knowing, what is a sport that you like, or even who's some of your favorite players or athletes in that sport that you like?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the F1. I enjoy watching that quite consistently. And although I don't have one specific driver that I like, I really like watching the battles between the different teams more than anything. But I do like the Ferrari and McLaren team. And although they're rivals at the moment, it's good if either team does better than the other. So quite a big fans of Sainz and Leclerc and my boy Danny Rick. and Lando Norris there. They're probably my favorite drivers there, even though that's not, the number 1 and 2 driver and the big battles. I like that underdog sort of battle there.
Yeah.
What about NASCAR? You ever get into NASCAR?
No, I haven't. I did a trip to the US and I tried to get to a race, but I didn't. So, but I'll have to watch a race.
Yeah,
So-
it's yeah. It's wild.
So what I want to bring up, because you brought up F1, and something that I'm a big fan of is cars in general. Everyone talks about like when Lambo or when they're going to get their McLaren and stuff. What would you say is your favorite car? Just in general, it doesn't have to be an F1.
Yeah.
Can I answer this question too?
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, my favorite cars has been the same since I was like 10. I've always wanted a Cadillac Escalade. No, I've always wanted a Cadillac Escalade. I think from like the first time I saw a music video in the hip hop or the rap world, it was always
yes,
it was always Escalades. It was always a thing. And like when they came out, it's like I wanted a white one for the day and a black one for the night. That's why I told my parents.
You're gonna get spinners on it.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Get some spinners.
Yeah.
Put some TVs in the back of the headrest that I'm never gonna watch. Put some big subwoofers in the trunk that I'm, that have no business being back there. And yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. And then when they came out with the Cadillac Escalade truck, man, my whole world changed when that thing came out. I never knew anybody who had one, or I never knew anybody who had the money to buy one, and I don't have the money to buy one either. My wife would kill me if I ever brought that up as a conversation. Yeah. No. The Escalade was always been my number one like dream car. Yeah, absolutely. I'll take that.
What you got?
Nice. Love it. Well, I got two. I got a classic and then I got a new one. So if I could buy a classic, I'd go a 69 Mustang. Love those. Like incredible. Okay. And then if I could go a new car, I'd probably go GT3 RS Porsche.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't want to drive it around town too much. I think it'd be epic on the track. So
yes. Yeah. So I guess I'll enter this conversation since Steven got into it too. I think so. I'll separate it into two segments. The EV segment, of course, Teslas. That's one a lot of people end up knowing about. But one that I started looking at a lot is the Audi e-tron, the GT one that they have out. I legit saw it on TV one day. I was like, damn, what the hell is this? But there's so many different cars getting into the electric vehicle space. So shout out to, I know they're doing it too. Because now you're going to put me on my soapbox now. I don't understand when you have these big ass trucks that want to end up going like the EV route. I was talking to some people that are huge, like Ford Motor and like American Engineers type of cars, and they just couldn't get into it. Like you brought up a Mustang. I just don't know if I could see a person driving a electric vehicle Mustang. It just wouldn't be the same. Like, the Mustangs and the Harley Davidsons, and you have the big F-150s and the Denali's for having that noise. Like, you go down the street and hear a Charger or a Challenger, quiet, just going, no, I couldn't do it. Like, it just wouldn't be the same. But then
it sucks because that's what that's the road we're going down. Like, no pun intended with people actually driving, but like I have, Christian, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and by the time they're able to get their license, who the hell knows what we're going to be driving or what's going to be driving us, or like there's going to be no such thing. Like, there's going to be classic cars, but it's like the classic cars are going to be like the first Tesla. And it's really going to suck because people aren't going to know about the 69 Mustangs or about anything. Like, it's going to have to be a class. And I'm going to have to teach my kids about, hey, these Teslas are, they're cool. They were cool when they came out, but these aren't classic cars. Let me show you. Let me show you
classic electric cars.
Yeah. Let me show you a 1997 Ford Taurus. That's a classic car. Let me show you a 69 Mustang. That's a classic car. Let me show you a Cadillac Escalade. That's a classic car. Yeah.
Well,
let
it's
me
funny-
show you an episode of Pimp My Ride. I'll show you something classic. All right.
An
Yeah.
Escalade.
No. So then
Yeah.
the other thing I would say is, and I think because I always like to go on cabin trips and I've gotten my Honda Accord stuck in the snow before, a Grand Cherokee, like all black Grand Cherokee. And I know it's a regular car, but when you get your car stuck in the snow, you're like, nah, forget this. Like, we're about to figure out a car that's going to get my ass up a hill on ice. And, you know, like your American cars, but also your big tough cars are going to get you up there. So that's the other one. But the big ones I would probably say is the Tesla is something, I don't know. I've used to really appreciate Elon Musk. He go crazy sometimes. I want to go send Doge to the moon and Floki to the moon. So I'm like, all right, simmer down a little. But I think those would be my cars that I would end up saying. I'm jealous kind of the GT3 RS Porsche. And then also Stephen talked on the Cadillac Escalade. Low key, before we keep going. So Stephen, back in the day, I don't know if you remember, Latrell Sprewell had the spinner shoes.
The shoes on the shoes. Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Spinner shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, you had them?
Cool. Yeah, the data.
Oh my God. Bro, I would have not been friends with you. If I would have seen you walking down the hallways with those things, it was probably it was middle school, right?
Yep. Joint just
if I would have saw you
going around.
If I would have saw you walking down the hallway with that, I would have pushed you into a locker or something. Like, no, I would not have been friends with you because of that.
So wrapping it up, Nutel, like I want to appreciate you as well as the Toco community just for allowing you to be on here today. How can people continue to stay in touch with you all and just pay attention for any updates as you guys lead up to the IDO you're going to have?
Yeah. So our most active community is in the Discord. So if you join our Discord, it's just if you just type in discord.tokel.io, it'll give you a link to that. That's our biggest community, and that's where most of us and the developers are chatting almost every day. And then we also have the standard Twitter, so at Tokel Platform. You can find all of the updates there. They're the two big ones, and then obviously the website will publish all of our information on the website, so just tokel.io.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, Steven, what you got for the people before we close out?
Bro, it's been so hot here, and
today was a hot ass day.
I'm so over the heat. I'm so over this weather. I need fall weather to like fully function at my normal human level. I need the weather to calm down a little bit, please. Like just a couple of degrees, man. I'm so tired of the heat and the humidity. It's like, I feel like the real feels like 105. I'm just, no, not about that life.
I was driving, my car said 103. And I was like, there's no way in hell. Like, I don't even feel like getting out my car.
No,
I usually like to drive with the windows down. I can't even do that. Just got to put the AC on. And I hate having the AC. It's
the worst. My office is in the basement of our house. And it's, we have the air on because it's so damn hot outside. We have it on like 68 basically. So downstairs is freezing all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like no matter if I close the vents or not, it's freezing. So I'm wearing a sweatshirt in my office. Like I go to take the dog outside. I walk outside and I'm like, I'm sweating my ass off because I'm wearing a sweatshirt outside. It's looking like a loser. People are like, what is this guy doing? It's 105 degrees outside. Why is he wearing a sweatshirt? I'm wearing like a black sweatshirt. These people are like, what is this guy doing? I just need the weather to just relax for a second, please.
So Nutella,
give me some snow. Give me some snow.
So before we end, we always like to let everyone get a chance to say anything they want, either about the community or just in general. So do you have anything for everyone out there?
Basically, if there's anything that didn't make sense to you today, I'd really recommend you go and do a bit of reading and research and just talk about it and try to grasp the understanding behind it. And once you do that, you can then make sensible decisions on, whether you want to invest into it or not, or whether you want to use it or not use it. Or, I think that's the biggest thing for people is to really get an understanding of it. And if you need any help, then just reach out, ask the questions in our Discord, and we'll do our best to try and explain it in a simple fashion. So thanks for having me.
I think that was directed at me.
No.
I think that was a shot at me. I'm perfectly fine with taking it, but yeah.
No, it's
I'm definitely gonna read up on everything you were talking about.
Yeah, awesome. So, nice.
I'll end up closing out my section. I got 3 different things. First one is,
oh geez, dude, 3? Oh my god.
So I gotta say, rest in peace to Dennis Schroeder and his bag he did not get. He legit fumbled the bag. Still love you, Dennis Schroeder. You've come a long way from your ATL days, which Lou Williams said, I'm going to take that spot. And then you had a big opportunity, and LeBron said, you don't get to say no to us. So he just stacked the goon squad out there. So Dennis Schroeder, hopefully Boston with Coach Udoka and everyone that's out there treats you all well. But damn, man, that's a lot of money you just gave.
Yeah, bro.
Up. That's
going from
a lot.
$84 million
Like
to what,
five.
$9?
Yeah, it was not a lot of money.
You see the video of him practicing for the X Games?
He needs to.
FM skateboarding. You see the video of him skateboarding?
No.
Yeah, go check it out. He was shredding, as they say.
Damn. So another one, shout out J.R. Smith. He's trying to get reclassified back at school so he can be a golfer. I really didn't think that was gonna happen. Did not think that was gonna happen.
Let's go.
And then my last one.
Hey, as they say, anything is possible.
Yeah, anything is possible. J.R. Smith just walked down the street, no shirt on, with the Hennessy in his hand. So the last ones I want to give out to Disney. So they just had their earnings tonight. Shout out what Bob Iger is doing over there. The stock did jump up after earnings. This is not financial advice, not telling you all to buy the stock, but I just want to say what Disney has done. They're continuing just to make changes. They're in the streaming area. They have theme parks everywhere around. You all know Mickey Mouse in the ears if you see it. So they're doing so much, and they've transitioned even during COVID. So I got to congratulate them. And then just a big shout out to AMC, because they're finally getting on board the Bitcoin train. And hopefully you guys end up putting on your balance sheet, as well as end up use stablecoin, man. Don't go accepting Bitcoin as payment there until Bitcoin is more stable. So right now the price is going to fluctuate. Just bring in a stablecoin, accept it there, because I promise you're going to have one person understands TA a lot and get over on you guys and end up being like, all right, Bitcoin's at 53,000. It's about to go down tomorrow. All right, I'll pay for my ticket to go see Joanna Man or something like that. And the price ends up going down. But so shout out to AMC. You guys are accepting Bitcoin later this year. Congratulations to the CEOs and everyone out there. Plus, they've been on a huge streak. So I don't want to hate on them. I just think accept it on your balance sheet. Put it there so your company can continue to grow. With that being said, I think we summed up everything. Tokel community, I want to say thank you so much. Nutella, I appreciate you once again for being here. With that, Steven, I think we out.
Peace.
See ya.
See ya.